Kentucky State Police are investigating after officers shot a man who they say aimed a gun at them.
Chilly rains on the move across central and eastern Kentucky. Thermometers more like what we'd be seeing for the first day of March as opposed to June 1.
State leaders announced the final step toward permanently closing off radioactive waste in Fleming County.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 4.
Good afternoon to you. Welcome to WKYT News at 4. Well, the first day of June is upon us, and that means meteorological summer is now underway. Take a look. This is a live picture now of downtown Lexington, where you can see that, unfortunately for summer lovers, take my word for it, unfortunately for summer lovers, Monday's weather isn't really living up to expectations. Much cooler than normal air and rain is out there for us. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey. What a dreary start to our work week.
It's ugly. I mean, it is just flat out ugly out there. The low clouds and some of the colder June temperatures that you will ever see across central Kentucky especially. Here's a live look outside the station on Winchester Road. The heavy rains are now beginning to wind down in Lexington, still with the gloomy conditions, and we're stuck into the upper 50s. We've been in the 50s since this morning. Now, technically, we were at 62 at midnight, so that's been the high temperature for the day. But so far, we haven't been able to get out of the 50s for highs with a lot of chilly showers. Look at the temperatures across the entire region. Most areas mid to upper 50s, 54 chilly degrees showing up on top of Mount Sterling. Are you kidding? Here's Live First Alert Defender. Rain's now beginning to lighten up a little bit across the Lexington metro. A little farther to the south, there's a round of some showers and storms coming back out of Tennessee into parts of south central Kentucky, Monticello, Whitley City, over toward Williamsburg, London, Corbin. We'll get it on some of that. Rains across eastern Kentucky continue to be on the heavy side down the Mountain Parkway corridor, US 23, and overall, a lot of clouds are going to continue out there this evening. So what you see is what you're going to be getting. Weather headlines, damp and chilly out there. Temperatures and humidity levels, Amber, begin to rise, though, as we go toward later in the week. And then the thunderstorm threat is going to roll on through the 7-day forecast here in 15 minutes.
All right, Chris, we will see you then. Thank you. We are learning more about a central Kentucky burglary suspect who was shot by state police. It happened just after 10 last night near Lemons Mill Road and Newtown Pike in Georgetown. Troopers say they were trying to serve a warrant to William Ray McKee, also known as the Sock Bandit. When he pulled out a gun, they ordered him to drop it, and when he didn't, police fired. WKYT Sean Moody is in Scott County with the latest on the investigation. It's our top story at 4.
At last check, William Ray McKee was in critical but stable condition. State police say he pointed a gun at officers when they told him to drop it. The Franklin County Sheriff said McKee was a suspect in a gas station robbery. His investigators had nicknamed him the Sock Bandit after they say he reached into a gas station cash register to grab cash with a sock over his hand. The Scott County Sheriff said they'd been looking for McKee in connection with the stolen weapon when they got information that he was in the North Elkhorn Creek area. The sheriff said his office asked for backup from state police and Georgetown police when they went looking for him last night. He said officers found McKee at a campsite along the creek bank. State police said McKee had a gun, and when officers told him to drop it, he pointed it at them.
He refused to put down a gun that they saw him with, and at that time they had to take further measures.
Police haven't said how many times McKee was hit or which officers fired the shots that hit him. Officers from all 3 departments are on administrative leave until the investigation is over, which is standard in officer-involved shootings. Now, the Scott County Sheriff said they were also looking into McKee as a person of interest in 2 recent burglaries, one at Old Friends Horse Farm, the other at Valkyrie Stud Horse Farm. They say he had worked at both places. In Scott County, Sean Moody, WKYT.
The Franklin County Sheriff said he expects the gas station robbery case to go to a grand jury in the next couple of days. We are working on a number of other stories for you on WKYT starting at 4:30. Sam Digg joins us now from the newsroom with a look at some of the news in progress. Hi, Sam.
Good afternoon, Amber. Governor Beshear says people in Fleming County can stop worrying and feel safe about Maxey Flats. That is a site the state has been trying to rid of nuclear waste for years. The governor made the remarks today at a gathering that marked the beginning of what many hope will be the final stages of the massive $35 million cleanup, which is in its 4th decade. Governor Beshear says that since the state purchased the land more than 30 years ago, it has worked diligently toward proper closure of the site.
the safety and health of the people in this area was at stake. And this low-grade radioactive material, if it seeped into the water, if it, there were a number of things that could happen. And so we worked very hard to make sure it was all contained. And now this is the final step that will be taken with this permanent cap. And now the people in this area can feel safe that things are over with. They can go on about their lives and quit worrying about Maxey Flats.
The final cap is set to be completed by the fall of next year. Then soon after that, the state will enter into a century-long monitoring period of the site. You'll hear more from the governor coming up on WKYT News at 5. There's a new tool in the fight against child hunger. God's Pantry is working to make sure that no students in Fayette County go hungry while they're out of school this summer with the Kids Cafe Summer Feeding Program. With more than 50% of students in Fayette County schools on free and reduced lunches, God's Pantry Food Bank is filling the need and the bellies of hungry children this summer.
We always try to look at where there need to be more sites. We work with the other partners in the city to decide which neighborhoods are covered, which ones aren't, to make sure that we have as many choices available for kids to get lunch, supper, whenever they need it.
And we will have more details on the Kids Cafe Summer Feeding Program coming up on WKYT News shortly at 4:30. That's a quick look at some of the news in progress. Amber, back to you.
Sam, thank you. Now to some stories making headlines across the nation at 4. Congress has let some Patriot Act tools for the U.S. government to investigate terrorism expire, and it means for the time being, the NSA has to stop collecting telephone metadata for millions of Americans. Emily Schmidt reports from Washington on what's changed and how some in the Senate are working to get those laws back on the books.
The motion is agreed to.
It's not often the Senate meets on Sunday, but there were lawmakers trying to beat a midnight deadline when key Patriot Act provisions would expire. In the end, the clock won out.
We should not have allowed them to expire. We've known for 4 years this day was coming.
The Senate's failure to act introduces unnecessary risk to the country and to our citizens.
Bulk data collection ended at 7:44 Washington time Sunday night, keeping the National Security Agency from accessing any data from telecommunications companies. It's a system that had been in place since President Bush signed the Patriot Act in 2006. Attorney General Loretta Lynch said last week that losing the data collection would be a serious lapse in national security. Critics say the program has only taken away civil liberties.
We are not collecting the information of spies. We are not collecting the information of terrorists. We are collecting all American citizens' records all of the time.
In a new CNN ORC poll, a majority of Americans, 61%, say Congress should renew its law collecting telephone data. That's even as Americans are split on whether it would increase the risk of terrorism in the United States. The Senate is expected to restore the expiring systems later this week. Until it does, telephone metadata remains locked up and off limits. In Washington, I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
The Senate vote on the USA Freedom Act later this week includes provisions that would have telephone companies hold the metadata telephone information and release it only when the government received a specific warrant to seize data from a specific individual. Well, the crowded field for the 2016 Republican presidential nomination is continuing to grow. Senator Lindsey Graham officially kicked off his campaign this morning in the small town of Central South Carolina, where he grew up. Graham says his focus is on tackling foreign policy, saying he wants to put at least 10,000 more U.S. troops into Iraq to help stabilize that region. Meanwhile, Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton is getting some company in the presidential primary. Former Baltimore mayor and Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley has announced he is jumping into the race. O'Malley is kicking off his presidential bid with trips to the early voting states of Iowa and New Hampshire, which is considered a stronghold for Clinton. He is the third Democrat to enter the race behind Clinton and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
Follow WKYT online at WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
All right, it is time to check stocks now. Gains across the board on Wall Street on this Monday. The Dow jumped nearly 30 points. The Nasdaq rose nearly 13 points, and the S&P rose by 4. In the digital age, many American homes have TVs, computers, video games, DVD players, and streaming devices. And all of those electronics use a lot of electricity. But Julie Watts found some ways to save.
Families today spend more time in front of a screen than ever before. And Noah Horowitz of the Natural Resource Defense Council says it's creating some pricey power bills.
The consumer electronics in your house might be using 2 refrigerators worth of electricity each year.
He says 10 to 20% of your total electric bill is going to power things like your TV, game console, and computer. And when it comes to cable boxes, many times it doesn't matter if they're on or they're off.
In terms of electricity use, about 6 power plants are needed just to keep these set-top boxes running, even though you're not watching them.
For example, this device measures how much energy an appliance is using. Plug in a cable box while it's on, and it measures about 25 watts. Turn the box off, it only goes down to 24.
The industry is working hard to make those better.
He suggests requesting an Energy Star 4.0 set-top box from your provider and choosing Energy Star TVs in the future. But tweaking your current TV's picture settings to something less bright can help you save a lot right now.
If you pick something like Vivid, it will be overly bright and can use 30% more power than necessary.
For computers, Horowitz says whenever possible, think portable. Desktops use 4 times more power than laptops, and when you're finished using it, shut it down.
We recommend people have a power strip and just hit that power strip when they're done for the day.
So while limiting your family's screen time may continue to be a struggle, at least you can limit how much energy those screens use. Julie Watts for CBS News, San Francisco.
Having trouble getting out of bed in the morning? A French teenager can help. He's invented an alarm clock that uses the smells of coffee, hot croissants, even dollar bills to motivate you to get up and start your day. His invention is called the Sensor Wake, and you can fund it on Kickstarter. It's a busy afternoon. Take it easy out there. All right, are you looking for a fun way to kick off summer for you and the kiddos? How about hopping on a bike and swimming into the 4th annual Kids Legacy Try this weekend?
Sounds like a lot of fun. Deanne Stevens out and about, joining us from Swim, Bike, Run with more. Hi, Deanne.
Good afternoon, guys, from Swim, Bike, and Run, where we are preparing to do a little swimming, biking, and running. I got my Kids Legacy Try. For some reason, they're saying I'm not age appropriate. Is that what you guys said? I'm not allowed to do this?
No.
Zoe, really? It's all about the kids, and that's what I love about this. We have Shannon Schaefer with us. And Shannon, this is such a family fun event because the parents can show up and cheer the kiddos on.
Absolutely. It's such a fun environment, and we make sure to celebrate the kids. This is our 4th annual event, and it's held at beautiful Spindletop. This year's event is on Sunday, June 7th, and each child will actually swim in an outdoor heated pool. They bike nearby, and then they run and finish the race on the Spindletop grounds. And we have a nice celebration at the end. Every child gets a medal. It's just a really fun family environment.
Well, you guys were encouraging me. You tell your kids to do it. And I went, my kids aren't prepared for this. Actually, from what you say, they are.
Absolutely. We have children of all abilities every year. You don't have to have a fancy bicycle. You know, truly the distance.
Can they have a basket on it?
They can have a basket. They can have training wheels for some of the smaller kids. We've had that as well. Wow. But each child, the distances are different. We have 4 waves. So depending on the age group, the distances increase as the children get older. But especially for the younger ones, it's very doable and very manageable event.
Well, and we want to encourage the real reason behind this. Get those kids involved and get them off the couch and have some fun. You even get a cute t-shirt. Is that right, Zoe?
Yep.
Yeah, yep. And Sydney and Connor say yep, too. You guys have done this every year. Tell us about the Kids Legacy Try.
Well, it's really fun. You just get out there, and then when you finish, it's like off your back.
It's off your back. What kind of training do you do for this, Connor?
Usually I run with my dog, Axel. And for biking, I race against my brother or sister. And for swimming, I swim some laps at the Y.
But for kiddos who don't get to do that every day, tell them, Zoe, it's simple and it's fun, I hear.
Yep. It's definitely manageable by age, and it's really nice to be able to finish, and it's really cool.
And you feel good about it. And you go away with a t-shirt, and you get a swim cap and a medal and all kinds of goodies. How do folks get signed up?
Well, you can register online until Wednesday at midnight, and our race website is kidslegacytry.com. You can also come here to Swim Bike Run of Kentucky on Thursday or Friday evening, or you can come on Saturday until 2 p.m. and register in person. The race again is on Sunday, June 7th, and we have room for more kids to register.
It is happening this weekend, so the t-shirt may or may not fit. The age definitely doesn't for me, but you can sign your kids up now for the Kids Legacy Try. I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about at Swim, Bike, and Run. Back to you guys.
It is time now for better living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. States with stronger alcohol laws for adults have fewer teens who drink too much. That's according to a first-of-its-kind study from Boston researchers. They found adult alcohol policies such as bans on happy hours and restricted hours of liquor sales have fewer teens who abuse alcohol. A new Yale study finds removing more breast tissue during a partial mastectomy could spare thousands a second surgery. About 150,000 breast cancer patients in the U.S. undergo surgery with a partial mastectomy every year, but up to 40% still have positive margins, which means cancer cells are on the edge of the tissue that's removed, and that often leads to an additional surgery. Want a therapist at your fingertips? There's an app for that. Talkspace is an online site that says it will let you text with a licensed therapist anytime you want for about $100 a month. The New York-based tech startup currently has about 100,000 users and has received $9.5 million in funding.